All right, all right, all right, and good day. I hope everyone is doing great today. So, it's another beautiful Sunday morning, at least where I am. It's clear today, finally. We've had a little bit of overcast, but it's getting clear. I want to say to everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome to a quick chat with All for Success. I am hoping that you all are eager to be here and listen in a little bit, and we'll just chit chat a little bit about some of the goings ons in and around our wonderful family, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Now, remember, here I am a Sussex friendly channel. I always warn you up front so you don't waste your time. However, if you just want to keep my subscribership up, please feel free to click the like button, share, and subscribe. Even if you're a little anti, that's fine. We like everybody to join in here. Okay. So, with that, um, I do have to remind folks, hey, look, please hit the like and subscribe. I'm trying to get my subscribership up as this year goes on. So, if you know of other people who might be interested in hearing what's going on or chit chatting with me or dropping a comment or two here online, let them know that we're out here and have them join in. If I'm here on time on Sundays, it's usually somewhere between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. And for those of us who are jumping in the mode of getting ready for that Sunday morning, grab your coffee, right? If that's what you want to do, sit down, relax. And then for those who are more active, let me see if I can put my little active chart up. Hope I don't lose sound. Also, we'll do a sound check while I move to the next slide. So let's see. Can you still hear me? Let's see. Can you still hear me out there? I don't know if my sound slide is still up there, but I hope it is. So go ahead and drop a one or a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me fairly clearly. Sometimes on my side, I don't even know if anyone is able to hear what I'm saying. I have a little bit of feedback, but drop a one in the chat or a thumbs up just to let me know that you're out there. Okay. So that when I see the numbers, I'm like, okay, at least it matches people. All right. So please feel free to do that and keep me apprised of all the goings ons here on the chat. I love it when people drop a comment. It lets me know, hey, something is happening out there. That's the fun part. Is something happening? Okay, so today, here's what we're going to do. For those of the folks who are Sussex supporters in general, most folks are checking in on the wonderful new season of As Ever, right? So if you are checking in on the new season of As Ever, which is to me going very well, um, let us know a little bit about what might be your favorite.
That she wants to become a brand like Martha Stewart. I want to be like Martha, she said.
I just read that today.
Well, you and I are reading the same sources.
Well, I'm
Give her the
flattered.
advice if she wants to do
I'm
this.
flattered and produce good products with that work and will help the homemaker have a nicer life. And that's what it's all about.
I'm ready to toast this in a big that she wants to become a brand like Martha Stewart. I want to be like Martha, she
I
said.
just
Okay, I don't know how I ended up on that page, but okay. We jumped into that page a little bit earlier than I had planned to. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That was pretty good. It was just a moment of a clip from a commercial, or actually a talk show, where the host was going over the fact that Megan had stated at one point that she wanted to be a brand like Martha Stewart. Well, is there anything wrong with that? I don't think so, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. And in fact, it makes sense because that's the type of lifestyle information that she has. So we're going to think about that a moment. Let me see if I got these slides up here somewhere. I have to tell you, sometimes I don't know where my slides are or what are they hiding from me? And I'm going to see if I can find them while we are looking for that. I'm going to continue to just babble on about the show itself. So in the meantime, I would like to say that I have enjoyed as ever so far, or I'm sorry, with love so far. And I've even had my order come in for one of the wines, and I really enjoyed that. The thing that I like to mention about with love, and I've heard a lot of commentary from various people on YouTube. As I listen in on all of the commenters, I think it's great. The thing is, if you are in need sometimes of a break from your stressful day and you like to watch television, cooking shows, or just TV in general, there are times when you can sit down in front of a show and just really have a moment to calm down, relax, and reduce the stress of your workday. With love is a place or a moment of time where it seems that you can do that, and it feels really wonderful to do that. Now, in a normal world, there would be no problem with that type of show or attitude. But what we have to always look at for those of us, and this is just for those of us who are paying attention to what is happening in the world of the Duke and the Duchess, because I see what they go through kind of as an example or a demonstration of the greater world. And I know that sounds a bit extreme, but I look at them and their experience as an example, so to speak, of what is happening in the greater environment, perhaps that we are all experiencing. And this is what I mean. The life and times of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex is sort of an experiment or an example of factions here in our greater environment. There is a faction, for example, that says, well, the Duke and Duchess are living their lives and they're trying to do what they think is right, and they're decent, fair, and good people. And then you have the counter position, which is out there trying to tell and convince the rest of the world that everything about them is negative, right? And that's important, is that for one faction in our greater world, they have to work very hard and diligently and nonstop to convince people that they are either unhappy, that they are insignificant, or that they are failures. In other words, there is an opposition in our world, so to speak, that creates the necessity to always create negative views around you. They must tell you the most negative view. They must have you reminded of the most negative view. And in a way, it sort of infiltrates all of our lives, right? Because without understanding that it's happening, everything that you do and say becomes an interpretation of something negative. And Harry and Meghan, or the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, are the prime number one example of that in our current day, right? So, for all those who enjoyed the show with love, we're watching it. I'm looking at the recipes that are being made. I'm entertained by the crafts that are being thrown out there, although I am not making any crafts, okay? But you're entertained by the crafts. You're entertained by what they're doing and what they're talking about a little bit. The show this season does seem to be a tad bit more relaxed, although it is a television production, and I can tell that the staff around and Meghan, they're very um, keen on trying to maintain their professionalism in the craft and the production. But overall, they're doing a decent and wonderful job, at least in my opinion. Um, the, sh- the interesting thing is, of course, back to the opposition side, as they pull out all of the people who are working and operating in the same realm, which is food and lifestyle, right? They have a tendency to try their best to create the illusion of some sort of competition, right? And most of the time, there is no real competition. The people who have their shows are doing their shows. For example, Rachel Ray doesn't have to feel like there's a threat, or in that way, with the Julia Childs cooking show of the old days, there's no need for her to feel fearful of a Martha Stewart. They're different shows, they approach things a little differently, and each one is going to show you something that you didn't see in the other show. So, therefore, there's no real competition. If you're interested, you're the type of person that would watch both, right? I really used to enjoy Anthony Bourdain. Something about the way his show would proceed, it was very quiet, very calming, and you basically just watched him travel all over the world and eat. That's a very different type of show, but it wouldn't stop me from watching With Love Megan. There would be no need to pit one against the other, right? You could watch both. But in the opposition's world, they have to create this pretend competition or pretend battle between two opposing forces so that they can drive the narrative that one is good and one is bad, and therefore Megan equals bad. So we have to keep in mind the goal of the opposition. It is their only goal to what? Separate, destroy, and divide. That's all that they do. And of course, the same thing is evident in the greater world. When you listen to arguments about various positions in various even world views, there's only so many things that people are in opposition to, right? Either you want to help people, either you want to encourage people, or you want to set a great example. You want to do something to help other folks become better, or you set your intention on trying to make people worse, and you want to create situations that make people live in a worse state than they already are, or you want to take advantage, right? Basically, those are your options. So you have to discern in our world, from which perspective are you trying to live in this greater world? Are you trying to do something that is helpful, beneficial, worthwhile? Or are you trying to do something that is destructive in sort of a greedy sense for yourself and not allow anyone else to succeed? You want to always push other people behind you or underneath you, which is obviously the perspective of some type of people. They only operate from the place of trying to destroy the work or trying to destroy the productivity of someone else. And I don't know what that's about, but it's a great way to observe it if you are a supporter of the Sussex family, because you are observing it from the point of view of their interactions with the media and the and the firm in the UK, and you're watching how they live their lives and what they're doing, and you're getting that sense of continuous opposition, right? So that's where we are on the whole spectrum. Now, with that said, I did enjoy the show. There are a couple of recipes that I am going to look forward to trying. Um, One that really blew my mind was that flatbread. In one of the shows, one of the cook from World Central Kitchen, made this nice flatbread. He just fried that up, and it puffed up. It looks so nice, and I thought that looks delicious. It's the kind of bread that you eat with a really marvelous salad, and boy, did they put together a marvelous salad. So those are the types of things that you can take away from the show, and then the touching moments between Megan and the guests that she had come and visit. Christy Teigen was back in the show again, and they had a good time putting some stuff together, and they made some jewelry. So that was fascinating. I hope you get a chance to watch that. So, in spite of that, that is my main claim to discussions here for today. And I always say, look forward to all of her productions, whether it's Lemonada or anything else. Now, one of the final things I wanted to just chat about really quickly, because I know this is a short one, and this has been all over YouTube, people. Explain this to me. I know. I don't know. Everyone is talking about this. And I think as I look at this photo, you don't even need me to tell you what it is that I'm talking about, do you? No, no, you don't. But the question is, what was happening here, right? Many people are asking, what is happening here? Because it would appear that you would have in your viewpoint, or even in the business that is what her business is, that Princess Catherine would have someone that as you walk by, they would say, stop, hold on a minute. Something about this looks a little bit over the top. My concern is, I know the real hair people, the hair divas, of course, they've made their commentary, and it's been very much in the comedy realm. But for me, this is a concern, not not if it was just my neighbor, like if this was just someone I ran into on the street, but certain things about what we do in the United States, of course, certain things about how we groom our hair. It is one of those things in the United States that is huge. It indicates, in our realm, it indicates a lot. And so when people view Princess Catherine with this type of style, what I would call style error or fault, it starts to scream, what is going on? Now, it could simply be that the princess decided Testing, testing. I am having some sort of technical insurgence. Let me know, folks, if you can still hear me. I experienced a power outage. Uh-oh. So let me know if you are still connected, okay? Let me know if you guys are still connected out there. I can't tell if I am. Okay, okay. Anybody hear me? Can anybody hear me? That was bizarre. That was really something else. So if I have to redo this wonderful chat, folks, I might have to come back in here again. That would really make me sad, but I would do it. But all of a sudden, I lost complete power. Just out of nowhere. And you gotta admit, that was really bizarre. I hope I didn't lose everyone, but if I did and I came back, hopefully you guys can catch me up. Wow, that was weird. But anywho, I'm going to try to pick up where I left off. So if you guys are still out there, here, throw a one or something in the chat so that I can be advised that you're actually able to view or hear it. Okay? All right. I am so sorry about that. But like I said, let me get back to where I was. I hope you guys swing back in this chat, even though I lost all of my senses while trying to work here. We're back to the wonderful hairstyle changes. Now listen, how many of us have had a bad day or a super bad day? And you know when you get up in the morning and you throw something on and you know, oh my gosh, I didn't take time to really get dressed and fix up and try to look my best. I'm just so tired. All I want to do is get out here and do whatever and move on. Well, I mean, of course, we've all had that day. The difference in her case, and even in Megan's case, the difference is that when you and I feel like that, it's up to us to try to push and muscle through. But in the case of these folks who live at the level of the Oprah Winfrey's, Megan, even Princess Catherine for sure, absolutely, is that there is an entire team of people around you that they make the corrections for you, right? They look at what's going on in your day and they make that correction for you. They move that, like you say, the scale off your eyes, and they let you know that your collar is upturned or that your shirt's tucked in too tight. There's an entire group of people around watching and looking for those things for you. So it's just very odd that even if you decided I would like to change my hair color or wear a different wig or whatever, is that the selection would be made in such a way that appears like an amateur, like it was done in a sense by an amateur. Not that it's, not that you can't make these kind of mistakes. I mean, after all, these jokes were made during Tyler Perry's first movies, and definitely during Tyler Perry's original plays on stage, right? People used to always talk about the wigs and that you could see the microphones. Remember that? If you all are familiar with early Tyler Perry productions. But it's just an interesting thing that has occurred here that I would call kind of a odd series of mishaps, especially at this particular time. Now, in the meantime, while they're having their difficulties, just like me having my technical difficulties, right? there's also the reminder that from the rest of the firm and the rest of the media is somehow they're supposed to take this particular look and tell the rest of the world that it is fantastic, right? Because that too is that's going to be their job as well. Is that they have to take what they see and what's going on and then put out to the world that it's better than all of you, plus it's better than, of course, Megan. They have to always compare, what she looks like to Megan. So the blonde is so cool and so beautiful, and you have to, oh, she's getting into this new look. And everyone is looking at it and thinking, really? You're actually trying to hype that up as a positive thing? It's very scary, very scary. So that was the big move, or what I would call the big news for the upcoming week when you're talking about what's coming out of the UK. It has been what is going on with the hair of Princess Catherine. And from the perspective here on this side of the water, it doesn't look good. It rings out with there's something wrong. But, that's another thing, right? So anyhow, okay guys, after that excitement, I don't know what to say. So listen, here's the bottom line with everything that I'm talking about, even though I'm comparing again what's happening in the Sussex world with the rest of the world. The key is for all of us, if you're trying to keep yourself in a movement forward in this world where things are so chaotic and it's a constant battle. But for us, the key is as being demonstrated. And I don't know if Harry and Meghan will always be able to keep up this demonstration. But as is being demonstrated is to stay active, right? And what her show highlights is connect positively, right? It's hard because it's not easy for us once we get to a certain point, you might not have a lot of friends around. You may not have a lot of family where you are. But the point is you want to connect in small ways with people that bring positivity. I try. I can't say that I'm successful at that, but I do try to connect positively. But often, even in my positive connections, I guess sometimes you just don't know if you're moving correctly. It's very easy to get off track with other people. Very easy to think you're moving in a positive direction, and then the next thing you know, you've got people who are upset with you over something, and you may not know what it is. But you, to the most part, to the best of your ability, try to connect positively. Okay? And then, of course, another thing that we have to get used to is when you do well, when something is working well for you, celebrate it. Don't be afraid or ashamed that something is working well, because we don't want to stay in the place where we always feel that everything is going in the wrong direction. So celebrate when you do something well and when things work out, right? Make it a small celebration of the fact that you're doing well. Okay, so look, right before I get out of here, even though I had my technical blow up, let's see who is in the chat, if anybody made it back to the chat. Let's try and see if anyone is here. So good morning, King for Concepts. All right, I like the 4. I love it. Hello, and getting ready for the chat. Well, thank you. That was when we started off on a good note before things started to fall apart, right? Before we blew it up. But thank you so much for being here. And I'm so glad that you made it here for one of these chats. I'll try to get a little bit more active in the chats. But listen, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, we have good morning going out to Joyce Anderson. Whoop, whoop. And Andersons. All right. Good Sunday morning to you. All for success and everyone. I am excited to be here. You know what? I am so glad that you are excited. Now, in the middle of getting myself together here, all of a sudden everything shut down, just shut down. So that's technical work for you. And Joyce Anderson always says, "I love the Lifestyle Show. I've watched it 7 times." How you watching it? So that means you have all the recipes and everything down to a science if you've rewatched it that much. The one episode that I will say that caught my attention the one so far the most is when Tam was on there, and that gift of the season, what I call it, a maba, don't let me stumble, but the box where you put the seasons in, and he stated that that's something that's like an heirloom passed through the family. I thought that was gorgeous. So I can see why you would watch the show 7 times. But Joyce Anderson, thank you so much for being here. It is such an encouragement for all of you who have an opportunity to join in. And please don't forget to let folks know, hey, come on and listen in on this little chat. As I can try to get my numbers up on this chat, I try to say things that are positive and fun. And of course, if you throw something in the comments, you know what? I might try to figure out how to spin that into a chat as well. So thank you guys so much for being here. Likewise, we are going to continue to support Harry and the hopeful either restructure of Sentabali or the reinvention of something like Sentabali, as well as his continued work with Invictus, because we do not want to see these things being picked apart. But we know, because we understand how the opposition works, that they will make it their business. Their eternal goal will be to try to remove from all of the records who is Harry and who is Meghan. I'm often, you know what, guys, I have to tell you, I'm often reminded of a scene from an old movie called The Ten Commandments, where, okay, all right, I know I'm dating myself, but in the Ten Commandments, after the Pharaoh had to decide between whether Moses would be continuing to live in Egypt or he was going to be expelled, they basically made a decree to remove the existence of Moses and his name from all the historical Egyptian records in the line of the pharaohs, because he would have actually been in the royal line, but they removed his name from everything in the Egyptian records. Right? Now, that's the story of Moses. I just thought I'd throw that tidbit out there because it was a part of a movie, The Ten Commandments. And I think that the royal firm and their royal operation is no different from back in those times. They, because he exited the royal firm, their job is to remove all traces of anything positive that he ever did in the world associated with the royal family, to basically remove that he even existed, right? That is their goal, because that's the kind of people that you're dealing with there, right? So I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me in this wonderful excursion. And like I said, we're going to remind you again, stay active, try to connect positively, and just accept victories and the good things that you can accomplish. And hey, take a moment of fresh air when you sit down and watch With Love, just to kind of restructure, regroup, and recalibrate for your day. But I'm going to go over here and see if I can figure out what caused some of this technical upheaval. And I want to thank you all for being here. So thank you guys again. And I am going to see you, hopefully, pretty soon.